Hello again, viewers, and greetings, fellow space travelers. This is Thorn of Night, and welcome to episode 2 of my new tree breeding guide for Forestry and Extra Trees in Minecraft. In this episode, I'm going to be covering the branch of trees, starting with the Mundane Larch. And the Mundane Larch is one of the first trees that you're going to get from doing your basic crossbreeding with the core trees over there. Which I covered in the first episode. And the mundane larch is acquired by breeding an apple oak with either a red spruce or a silver birch. And you'll get one of these nice bluish, kind of really colorful trees, the larch tree. And you can see there, that's what the logs look like from the side. And this is a cross section, and the planks you can get from the logs themselves right there. There is some variation with how the larch tree will grow, including height as well as the amount of the different steps or layers or whatever you want to call it there. But they pretty much conform to the same width, which you will need to have a space of 3 between the sapling and any other surface if you want to guarantee getting as many leaves as you can out of a single sapling. It does take just one sapling to grow it, so its girth is 1. On average, you can expect to get 8 logs and 8 saplings out of one tree, and that's an average over 20. It might be a little bit different, more or less, if you get an average of larger numbers, but I went with 20 because I didn't want to take too much time, but I did want to have a large enough sample. There are no fruit that you can get from this tree, and the planks are actually called larch wood. So that's this tree. Actually, I should mention it is the first step out from the core trees. So I have the blue wool here to mark the distance from the core. So that is one step out. So it is a level 2 tree, as I'm going to call it. Moving on to the next tree, I have the common yew, and it is created by breeding the red spruce with the mundane larch that you just got. This red stripe here signifies that there are no additional trees that this tree will go on to produce, no new species. You can get hybrids, but there are no new species that you can get from this tree. And once again, there is some variation. You can see I have the 20 trees here, so you can get a nice little sample of the possibilities. Some are not as wide as others, but for maximum width, once again, you will want a radius of 3 from the sapling in any surface. They can grow up to a height of 8, so do keep that in mind if you have an enclosure that you want to grow these guys in. On average, the trees will give you about 4.5 logs and about 5.5 saplings, so there's positive growth there. There are no fruit, and the wood is called yew wood, and that is this. It is a tier 3 tree. Moving on to the bull pine. The bull pine is gotten by also breeding the mundane larch with the red spruce, and you'll get these trees here. They sort of, I guess you could call that pear-shaped. But they can grow up to a maximum height of 11, as far as I've been able to find. And they do grow just the regular density there, but they can grow down to this height, so there isn't as much maneuverability underneath them. If you want to have a tight little grove of them, you'll have to keep in mind those low leaves. But anyway, on average, you're going to expect to get about 7.7 logs and 8.4 saplings out of one of these bull pines. There are no fruit, and the wood that you will be getting is called pine wood. And that is that. It is a tier 3 tree as well. Moving on to the next tree, the Loblolly pine. That is weird to say. You will need the bull pine and a red spruce in order to get this. And you can see what it looks like there. Here are the cross sections of the logs and the planks that you get from it. There is some variance in the way the trees grow, but they do grow up to a height of 10 even. The logs and saplings you're going to expect to get 6.5 logs, 2.2 saplings, so there is positive gain there. If you have just one, you might not get a sapling, so it would be a wise idea to, at least for getting started, use a grafter to pull the saplings off so you can get more. With a sufficiently large quantity, though, you're going to get multiple saplings per tree, so that is a bonus there. Once again, it is the pinewood planks and the pinewood logs, and there are no fruit that you're going to expect to get from it. But because they are a width of 2 maximum, not always, sometimes it'll be that, sometimes it's just a width of 1. The density of a grove of these things is pretty tight. You can see it's a little cramped in here. But that is a tier 4 tree because it does require a tier 3 tree in order to make it. Moving on to the Lawson cypress, you'll once again need the bull pine with the red spruce. And you can get these vertical sort of blue-greenish trees that can grow up to a height of 12. And on a single tree, I got one that had one leaf block sticking out too, but as you can see, the vast majority of them and all of the examples here, and probably all the examples here, only stick out by one. But just to be on the safe side, if you want to have the absolute maximum space, I would go with a width of 2. It may have been just a fluke, but you will need at least one to get the leaves out of it, as is the case with pretty much any tree. You can expect to get 8.5 logs on average and 2.9, almost 3 saplings per tree. So positive growth there. This will give you the cypress wood and no fruit. And you can see what that cypress wood looks like in comparison to the pine there. It's a brighter yellow. And once again, this is a tier 4 tree. And I guess I should also mention that's what the saplings look like, those sort of brightish, I don't even know what, seafoam color? Anyway, and moving on to the final tree in this one, we have a doozy here. It is called the Coast Sequoia. You use the Mundane Larch and the bull pine to get it, and it gives you these sort of reddish, almost magenta colored planks per tree, and the width of these, it requires 9 saplings to get one to grow, so 3 by 3 on the base there. You can get 343.6 logs on average from one tree. There is some variation. You can see that looking down there. They don't all look the same, but since it does require 9 saplings to get a tree, you're looking for 9 saplings out, and we can double that. So you can almost double your supply of tree if you stick around. Now the height on these, 10, 20, 30, 45 tall as the maximum height. So you're probably not going to want to grow these indoor unless you have a really big room. The planks are called Sequoia, as are the logs. There are no fruit that come from these, and I have divided these into 5 smaller chests. This is the contents of the first 4 trees, 4 there, 4, and 4 in each of those, so you can take a look at that. But it is also a tier 4 tree. They can grow right next to each other because apparently these saplings don't necessarily detect everything that's straight above them. There is some calculation, but if the conditions are right, they can grow right next to each other, or at least really close to each other. But generally, if you want to have maximum width, you're going to want a space of 3 out from the outermost edge of the trunk for the saplings. But that is going to, with the moon rising, have to be it for this episode, the Mundane Larch branch. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond as quick as possible once I see your comment. If you like this video and you like what I'm doing here, please feel free to give a like. I do appreciate that. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe so you know when my future stuff comes out. I am going to be making this map available for download through a link in the description below, so you can go get that and explore yourself. I have all of the trees in Forestry and Extra Trees incorporated in this map. It's, I think, about 3 kilometers long, maybe 2 kilometers, something like that, of just these demonstration patches, plus a tree of trees at the very end there, so you can see sort of how the different breedings branch off from one another. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here, so thank you once again for watching. This is Thorn of Night, and I will talk to you later.